Hi, everyone. We'll start with the verse. Jeremiah 2:7. And I brought you into a plentiful land to enjoy its fruits and its good things. But when you came in, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. That's Jeremiah 2:7. And we will pray. Father, Most High God, we thank you for being here. We thank you for these people here. We thank you that you bring us together. We thank you for your wisdom, and we thank you for this beautiful earth that you gave us. We repent for the ways that they have been defiled. We repent for the horrible things that have been done, Lord, and we thank you for your forgiveness, and we thank you for your mercy, and we pray for your blessings upon all people. In Jesus' name, amen.
That video was done after Standing Rock was actually, it wasn't finished yet, actually, but a group of performers had made that song for the awareness of Standing Rock and what was going on. But we also want to do our announcements. We have 4 Facebook group pages: Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers and Surrounding Areas, Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMB, MAN and Son Center and Database, Lead Tracker E, and also the new one, Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. We also have a documentary out, the Bigfoot documentary, that's listed as Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers and Surrounding Areas. That's $101. You can get through Cash App through here. Actually, we didn't put any descriptions in. This is just our regular announcements. Also, the Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path, the new book. We don't know what's behind this, but we don't have it right here with us. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. But we do have a new book out. It's $25 on Amazon, and it's also being translated into Spanish. That'll be done pretty soon also.
Our post office box is 655 Antlers, Oklahoma 74523. And this is, we encourage everybody to greet each other and say hi to each other. But when we will have a guest tonight. And when they're on and when the stories are being shared, just let's use good manners and not interrupt. And this is true history. This is what really happened. So we appreciate your respect for that. And we need to name some moderators in here too.
Actually, I think we have some moderators. We're trying to do this quickly because we're not using it as this is the Standing Feather series. It's not the tracking part, but it still is not an open forum. We're here to share these stories and this information with you. A lot of people don't know the whole story, and we're the only ones who can tell you about the end of the story. But we like when, as Lead Tracker was saying, we like when people say hello to each other and welcome each other and have a good time and listen to what we're talking about on these times. Other times, if we're giving a lesson, we have to pay more attention. But it's not an open channel. It's not for conversations to start or to build. We're sharing information with you, and we appreciate when people just listen. And we can take comments and questions at the end. And we do have some moderators in here who's going to watch that for us. And we want you to hear this. We don't want to have to, and our moderators know a lot. If conversations start building up, some are lenient, some are not, but they want you to pay attention because they want to pay attention also. So we'll see. So I think that's all for that.
Well, I don't know what happened, but nobody's name has a tool.
Oh, I don't know. That's okay. So we're going to do some quick catching up with the comments.
Mm-hmm. And then see War Chief Tracker C.
Okay.
Moderator. Okay. Okay. War Chief, we're just going to run through real quick and holler out your names of who's here with us so far. War Chief Tracker C, hello. Lorna is here. Linda from Texas.
Hey, all right, Lorna. War
Holly,
Chief.
Holly and Jazzy are here.
Linda, Holly, and Jazzy.
Jazzy says, just wanted to say hi to everybody. Getting ready to eat supper. We'll be listening to you guys on the TV. Excited. Good.
All right.
JR is here.
JR. I think JR was in pretty early today, too.
JR has been paying attention to the photos. Blanquito is here.
Blanquito. All right. Southpaw.
Southpaw. Aussie Sue is
Aussie
here.
Sue.
Pyromedic is here.
All right. Pyromedic.
Scott's Life.
Hey, same time.
Cobalt is here.
Cobalt. All right. Great.
Shade Viking.
Shade Viking. All right. And
Mary.
Mary.
Welcome, everybody. For those that don't know, I'm Lead Tracker E, and this is Jerry Williams, also known as Lead Horse Choctaw. And this is a segment of the Standing Feather Stories, which are told from the perspective of the Native Americans. And Jerry was the last man standing at Standing Rock, and we want to hear this story. If you could, would you please, for those that don't know the gist of what Standing Rock was about, could you give a brief description of that and then explain where you were and how you got involved in Standing Rock?
Well, a lot of people, if you haven't or didn't know about Standing Rock, it was a pipeline. And I used to go to standoffs, protests, and things like that. Some more severe than others. But Standing Rock was actually started to form in 2014. It didn't begin until like 2016. But Obama had already talked to the chiefs, the tribal chief or the corporation, as we would call it, corporation chief, about letting these pipelines go through these waterways and territories for money, which that's not the people. That's the corporation chief. That's not the people. The people were saying no to it, but the chief had taken the money for that. So, and also the all these chiefs will play like they didn't take the money or know anything about it, but they had a meeting in 2014 with Obama about that. And this pipeline was to cross fresh waterways, which is from South Dakota all the way down North Dakota, which fed or which aided 18 million people, and that water was a lifeline for all those people in that area. And if contaminated like the White River, that it would be inhabitable. Nobody could live there. So, of course, that's when land comes up. But it's a pipeline that was going through the Lakota Territory in South Dakota at that time. I knew about the chiefs meeting with the president at that time, and I knew that these deals were being made. I wanted no part of any of that. So when Standing Rock first happened, I did help people get supplies and organize to get supplies to the people, but I didn't go to Standing Rock right away because I knew that we was already sold out. And when I say we, I mean the people, not the chief and the councils. But I knew that we was already sold out, so there's no point in going because it's going to go through because the money's already been taken. And but I got a call Well, let me back up just a little bit. Need to back up just a little bit because, like I said, I go to a lot of protests, a lot of standoffs. I've been side by side with many tribes, many territories, stopped nuclear plants and pipelines from going through territories. I also turned down $3 million per year annually because I wouldn't get out of the way and I wouldn't step to the side and I wouldn't turn my backs on the people, which it's not just our people, but it just everyone is going to be affected by this. So we was stopping this for everybody. A lot of people didn't know what we was doing, but we still had to do it. But I knew that we were sold out pretty much, so I didn't want to go to Standing Rock. There's no point in it, and but at that same time, I after I helped organize others to get supplies there, I also was with another group who we were going to go to Cuba to get this serum for diabetics. It doesn't cure diabetes, but it makes sure that there's still blood flow, so there wouldn't be any more amputees. And the Cuban medical people had offered it to the traditional people, not to the corporation people. Even though the corporation chiefs flew down there um, to Cuba, and it's still on in the papers up that way, that they tried to meet with Cuba to try to get that serum, but all they was going to do was going to mass produce and make money off of that. And the Cubans didn't want it to be used that way. They wanted it to be given to everybody. So we were chosen to go and pick this serum up. We tried every way possible. We started in New York, went all the way to Florida. We tried every airport, Fort, um, well, not even sure of the airports there, but every airport from the top of Florida all the way down to the tip. I stayed with a tribe down there at a reservation called Imok. It's a reservation, Seminoles. Uh, Shared information with them, taught there while I stayed there. So it's kind of like a trade off, and did some work for them to. But every day I was trying to figure out a way to get to Cuba, and there was a guy who was going to be on here tonight, but I couldn't get a hold of him. But he was also another guy who was going to meet me in Cuba because we was going to have to sneak it back and get it back to, he was going to take it to California. The other one was going to take it to Texas area. I was going to take it to Oklahoma, then up to North Carolina area, and on back up towards New York area, and then into Canada to try to share this serum so that the amputees that would end. So while I'm the last very day that I could spend in Florida trying to get across, I got a phone call from a Warrior Society who's asked me where I was. I mean, they knew where I was, but they were saying, "Why are you not at Standing Rock? Do you know what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I've been running dark, so I only know, little bits and pieces." And so they filled me in and told me that people had been shot in the eyes. One woman had her arm blown off. The military is moving in on them, pushed them out, hurting them, and they needed some help up there. But these guys couldn't go up there. But they had young men from their reservation already there, and it asked if I'd go up and help them and teach them some things about being protectors up there. And of course, I didn't have any funds at that time either because I had just enough to do to try to get into Cuba and then get back. But since I couldn't get through there and that mission failed, if I had more funds, it would have worked because found a boat the last day. But I was still already now dedicated to getting up to Standing Rock, which I didn't know the way up to Standing Rock. But prior years, I had taken supplies to Pine Ridge Reservation, Rosebud, Cheyenne Creek, I think. There's a couple of reservations. I took winter supplies, brand new clothing, uh, housing, um, dishes, furniture. It was over, I think, $300,000 worth of supplies. They estimated it. We had to get a diesel and everything, but I'd made good friends by doing that prior years. And when I got the call from some friends to get up that way, I only knew the way to their home. So I said, all right, and I don't run GPS and the mapping system. I didn't know where I even had a map at that time because I was just moving. I was only going to go one place and come back. So now I'm looking at the map, trying to get up to where they are because I don't. There's no Standing Rock on this small map that I'm using. So I just go to my friend's house. But that is how it got me into going to Standing Rock. Was with the phone call from a Warrior Society who asked me to actually go help their men also, but that a lot of people were getting hurt and that they wanted me to go and assist everyone up there. Um,
Um, how did you prepare for the trip, and what was the weather like?
when we there's another young man that wanted to go up. His name is Giannis. That means buffalo in the Choctaw language. Uh, he said that he would go also. So I stopped to talk to the Oklahoma chief and see if I could get some funds for fuel or food because I was basically running low and out. And so I got a meeting with their chief and I told him, I said, we're going to need snowmobiles, because I've been through this, four-wheelers. We're going to need food. We're going to need wood, our own supplies. We can't be dependent on anybody. That we have to be an independent up there. The chief didn't want to aid us per se or me per se, but he said I already sent 175,000 to the chief up there, and I said, well, that chief is crooked, and he's already storing all the supplies that are being sent to the people. So you just sent $175,000 to his pocket. And he said, well, I trust the chief up there, which if anybody looks into that chief, they nicknamed him Dapple Dave because he took not just money, but embezzled from his own people. He stole a lot of things. But instead of helping
And
me,
you kept all the supplies.
yeah, and they kept all the supplies, the money. But the chief here was more interested in how I was getting from here to there, because all the Indians are supposed to be um, accounted for, I guess you would say, and I was not one of those accounted for. But so I just went ahead and went without any support there. I knew the way to my friend's house, and I didn't know where Standing Rock was, but I did hear, and you can see it on the YouTube if you were watching at that time, that there was major roadblocks. Military was all over the highways, stopping people who were coming to help the reservation, that small reservation. There was tens of thousands of people coming to stand with that small tribe, and I wasn't going to go. Um, I knew I've been in those situations before. When you're sold out, and you're the one that has to pay the price, not the ones who paid, not the ones who took the money, but it's us who has to pay that price with jail time and some of the things we're going to talk about tonight too. But but the children were calling. We've seen videos of children crying, asking people to come help and to help stop um, this pipeline that's going to pollute all their water.
Will you tell us about the eagle feather?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. But also on that way up there, another man knew that I was going up to Standing Rock. He had been watching my Facebook page, and once I came back out of the dark, saying, "Well, I'm going to head to Standing Rock," and so this young man said, "Well, I got some supplies if you'll pick them up," and I didn't have much room, but I said, "Oh, I can take whatever I can take," and so he met me, and we had some lunch, and we went up to a spot, a scenery. He brought his whole family, and he handed me some eagle feathers, and he said, "Take these up there and give them to whoever you think deserves these eagle feathers." And I said, "All right, I'll take it up there." And he brought me some spring water. He said, "This is from our spring. It's from here." He said, "Take it up there and give it to the water, and bless the water, and the water know that we know about it. We know what's going on." And I said, "I'll do that also." And he also gave me some deer jerky and a whole bunch of coats to take up, real nice coats, which I did take one of those because mine was, it was very holy, I guess you would say. I do a lot of outside work, and there's nicks and cuts in it, but so I'd actually taken one of them, but he actually wanted me to take it, and that's where I've got the idea of doing that, because I never wanted to take supplies that was meant for other people, but there's been a couple of times where people has made me take a coat or some overalls or something. Um, but I'm heading up to Standing Rock, and I only know the way to my friend's home, and I pull up there, and uh, the car's shot pretty much. But I find out that he's a mechanic. I didn't know that the first time. So he takes my car into the shop, and he works on that while the family's, taking the best care of me, because they know I'm just traveling through, and they've been keeping up with me for a while and what I've been doing and certain things and certain journeys. The I get up there, and we're having dinner, and I tell them I'm heading to Standing Rock, and after they fix the car, they come in and tell I'm heading up to Standing Rock. I'm going to help these young men with security and see what's going on. Um, I said, but I'm trying to not go through all the roadblocks and the military and the highway patrol and all that. So they kind of are starting to kind of chuckle and laugh, and I'm just kind of wondering why they're laughing. And they said, "Well, you're actually at the very best place to be at, because all you have to do is go around this corner here and take this road, and it'll take you all the way through the back roads right into Standing Rock, and you'll never see a highway patrol or tribal cop, or no one's on that road because it's so isolated." And so that was another blessing to find that, and to go in a area that no I'll have no problems. But they did tell me to gas up, because it's like 100-mile stretch, and if you don't have fuel, you're not going to make it to that next gas station. And that was at Parmalee, uh, near Rosebud. So I took that back road, and it took me into Eagle Butte, and then straight on up into Standing Rock. And if anybody's ever been on that road, you better gas up. Especially if you've ever been on Pine Ridge, you better gas up. The next gas station is 100 miles. So now I'm moving. I'm coming into Standing Rock, and I'm seeing everything. And there's thousands and thousands of people there. There's travel flags up. There's people from all nations. There's Hawaiians there. There's uh, people from Ireland, Scotland, England, Hawaii, Canada, Bolivia, Argentina. I mean, there's people, and all they're in their traditional wear. Some, most. Um, there's groups from California all over the place, Texas, Oklahoma. Um, there's a lot of New York people, a lot of California people, and as I get there on the first day, I okay, I do exactly what I sent to do. I'm going to show two real quick pictures. First thing I do is go straight to the water, and I know it's very hard to see, but if you can see over that hill, that's all police and it's all military up over there. So I share the water, the spring water, and I thank both waters for giving us life and for being here with us, and that we're here with the water, and that we're going to stay. We're going to protect the water. Don't worry, we're here. But also up on those hills, on those hills, we have different organizations of police force, not peacekeepers, police force. There's a difference. We've got planes all over the area, intimidating, flying low, spraying. We've got military out in the side, but this is Blackwater military or Tiger Swan mercenary groups that are out there also. They've got paid and marked and unmarked vehicles out there behind the barricades. They've got helicopters. They got planes. They've got sonic weapons. I think that's a LAD or a radar. A sonar. I'm not sure if that's the right one, but got more private groups coming in. We got uniformed, different organizations, different police, sheriff areas. This whole area is just surrounded by military, different organizations. Tiger Swan, these are Blackwater mercenary groups. These are, and Blackwater also changed their name to Spectrum, and then they changed it to Academia. And Tiger Swan is in there. That's another group. But there was sheriffs, there was paid off-duty police officers, off-duty security guards, and these weren't good people. These were not peacekeepers. There's a difference between a peacekeeper and police force. So a peacekeeper will do everything they can to keep the peace, but these were not those people. So I'm there for one day, and I'm giving the water, and I'm letting the water know that I'm here. I brought the feathers, I brought the coats, and the spring water to mix, and that I'm not going anywhere. And the very next day, I went up and I got me a good spot on a place they call Facebook Hill. And if anybody's ever been there, everybody knows Facebook Hill. That's the only hill anybody could get reception. So everybody would go up to that hill just to check their email. So that's why it was called Facebook Hill. But I got up there, got me a good spot where I could look at everything, watch the side coming in, watch vehicles coming in. I knew who was behind me, who was on the side, and I could see the whole entire area. So that's where I perched at, on top of Facebook Hill. And in the morning, after we, let the water know that we're here, that very next morning, a storm came in and it completely blanketed the entire area. Vehicles were getting stuck left and right, but also these police vehicles were having problems out there, so it slowed them down as well. And we have a guest that will be on in just a little while, so can't wait for y'all to hear them also. So I get there and I've only got a small tent. and it's cold, and that is not the tent you want for the cold weather. But in the slow times, um, we had some. Let me move over. Just for some of these pictures. But so it's snowing, and there's a lot of people who's um, there's huge piles of wood that people had brought and sent in, and some of those people sent in green wood. I don't know why you did that, but it doesn't do anybody any good in the cold winter to have fresh wood. You need to send in at least a year old wood or some good dry wood. But these young men were out chopping wood, and a lot of people wouldn't chop wood because all you had was the axes. Which whenever I went over there, I said, all this gear out here, how come you don't have any splitters out here? They said, oh, well, we do have some. I said, so why are y'all not splitting with a splitter? And they said, well, nobody knows how to run it. I said, well, come on, bring it out. And I showed them where the oil goes, the fuel. You got your hydraulic fluid, and so I had to assemble it and put it together. And also, the people who were cutting the wood were in a circle piece of wood or a block piece of wood. They were trying to hammer right in the center of it and trying to split it and then break it off like a piece of like a pie kind of thing. Which, if you have to do that, you can. But if you're cutting a block piece of wood, you're just going to hit the side of it and knock a chip off, knock another side, knock a chip off, and it'll just do that, and it'll quarter itself. I mean, you'll knock a chip off, knock another chip off, and it's real easy to do that. It's just like knocking your sides off. So we had to help with that also to teach these young men how to cut wood out there. And after that was going, then we had I think it was four splitters going, and everybody else just cutting little pieces of wood, and we almost cleared that whole deck in one day, in one full day. But I was going to show this picture of a young man who was out here chopping wood. He also became chief of his tribe after he went home. After this, he learned quite a bit. He stayed with us. I mean, the whole group. We was the whole group. He stayed with us, and when he went home, he was a changed man, and he became chief of his tribe there. I'm not sure what his name is. It's upper Wisconsin kind of area, I believe, or along that Minnesota, somewhere in there. I remember. Well, I guess I don't remember, but somewhere nearly remember the area. But so everyone's cutting wood, and then I'm helping them, and we've got almost everything situated now. We're helping a lot of people, delivering wood to everybody, because a lot of people were kind of doing without running propane. But there was so much stealing going on there, so much people would come in with trailers and just start loading up wood stoves that were meant for all the new people coming in for a new group. Because when you come in, you could get a tent, a wood stove, everything to keep you warm, a heater, food for the duration, and jackets, clothing like that if you needed, boots. If you're going to be there, you could have anything that you want. They had a medical tent, they had an herbal tent, different tents like that. You could go in there and say, I need, I've got a cold, I need some herbal teas. And that's okay, we got these herbal teas. Or they had kitchens, the food was coming in. So you shouldn't have had any worries, but there was a lot of people stealing. They would come in, because lumber was being sent in too to build structures, stable structures for the winter. people were coming in with just trailers and loading all this up and just driving out. Propane, wood stoves. There was a lot of theft going on. The tribe, which he got his nickname Dapple Dave Archambault, I think is what his name was. Um, he had facilities where all the supplies were supposed to come to the village or the area, but they were being put in storage buildings and behind people's homes. And there's a lot of people that were caught with a lot of things behind their homes on the reservation. So winter comes in; it sets in fast. Oh yeah. Um,
Before you get too far, you had
oh,
mentioned that there was an informant there.
oh yeah. So I finally find out where all the Mohawk and the old Nada and the Onondaga young warriors were, and they got wind that I was in the area because I go to a lot of protests and help out and those standoffs, and they're used to. I've got a lot of different things I have to do now, but at that time, a lot of people knew me and they knew that I was coming to Standing Rock to help out. There was a young man who had told some other people that he was a good friend of mine. He knew me, and that he was from the same area I was. And I was just staying with the village. I wasn't. Well, I'm not from there. Um, so when I got wind of who he was, I said, "That guy's an informant." I said, "Where's he at anyway?" And so I was going to go and call him out right in for everybody and do what we had to do to get him out of that. And so he was actually in the tent where I was going to meet with all the new young men, and well, not the new young men, but the young warriors who were learning about all this. That when I walked into that tent, um, I was looking for him, and nobody could find him. His clothes was gone. Um, all his gear was gone. This guy had moved out in minutes because he knew that I knew he was an informant and I was coming. And then at that same time, another young man said, or one of these young, pumped up, I don't want to say warriors, I want to say young men right now, because these guys didn't, do the duration. They didn't stay. But they asked me, they said, so how long are you staying? And I said, until it's over. And they said, oh, okay. Well, a lot of people, they're just here on a weekend or they just come in for a little while and they leave. I said, okay. And about that time, that's when I turned around and was looking for the other guy. So I didn't pay him much mind after that, but he did eventually leave also. And a lot of people were called weekend warriors. But when we went, it was because the children called and that we couldn't leave, uh, because we gave our word that we'd do that. So after I got with those guys, then we started organizing, and I started teaching them how to, well, I would say running at or ghosting at night. So I would teach them to learn their ski mobile path, where they're going to do their patrols. I wanted them to know every bump, every hill, run that course, know that entire course. So at nighttime, we're going to take cardboard and tape up your front lights and your back lights. And you're going to run in the dark with no lights. And I wanted them going full speed. So they had to learn their entire course or that entire area. Also, if you're going through a lit area, if you're coming out of the dark and you're going through just a little section of light, close one eye and preferably the left eye. You want the right eye to catch everything as soon as you go back into the dark. But if you close one eye, you won't lose your night vision. But if you're using both eyes when you go through that light, when you hit that dark again, you can't see. So I was teaching them techniques like that and telling them you can only sleep 4 hours, 2 to 4 hours, and change. We're not running 8 hours. We're going to run 4 hours. That way, you can always be awake, or someone will be awake, and we'll always be ready. We had grab bags, go bags, bug out bags. I was getting these guys ready. I was teaching them how to come in, how to hook somebody on the back of your snowmobile, pull them out if you got to. Always take your grab bag, your bug out bag, because if people get maced, if you got milk in there, you can put that on their eyes, flush them out, or pull them out if they're wounded. So these young men were learning all those techniques, and they were also having altercations with the Lakota because they were drinking at that time. And the group that we were teaching, they had one altercation that I know of where they had actually got these other men off of that or out of that area. Um, but then other Lakota people let them back in. um, so I'm getting with the young people, and I'm meeting all these other people who are Maui. There's a lot of Maui people out there. A lot of Maui young men who uh, you could kind of see that they wanted to be a warrior, but they were just too Maui, especially around elders and medicine people. And so we couldn't teach those young men because they already had attitudes. So we could only teach a couple art groups, and we took in one Navajo. Um, we told him there's no drinking if you're going to be with our group. And he started kind of joking around, said, "Not even one." He goes, "One's not going to hurt anybody." We said, "No, not one. This job is too serious. People can't get hurt out here. And if you're going to drink, you don't need to be with us." And so I don't know anything about him now, but at that time, he did quit. There was no drinking with our group. We had to be ready 24/7. So teaching these young men not only security techniques, but now we're also teaching ceremonies, because this young warrior group also comes from a medicine society group also. And there were Lakotas out there doing sweat lodges. There was fires going in different areas, different kind of ceremonies. But I also warned the young men, don't go into just any ceremony. You got to know who that ceremony keeper is. You got to know his words. You got to know their good words, their true words. If and that's why if you're starting a fire, you don't blow into the fire. Use your hat or a feather. Even with a, a smudge bow, you don't blow into it. You use a feather or your hand or something else, even a frisbee if you have to get a fire started. But never blow into it, because if it's your ceremony and you know who you are and you're good people, it's okay to share that with people. But for anyone else, if you blow or if they blow into that smudge bowl or into that fire sideways or something to get it started, you got to know that person, because if you don't know if they've had a bad day. You don't know if they've got bad thoughts. You don't know if something happened to them to where they're just not in that ceremony, if they're not in that prayer. Um, but if you see anybody blow into a smudge bowl, get away from it. If you see them blowing into a fire, get away from that fire. Especially if you don't know that person, because those thoughts, that energy, those words, that breath will touch everybody. That smoke will touch everybody. So those are things that we watch for also. So we're asking these young people to be careful. We have our ceremonies, that we have certain times that we do those, but we don't mix them either. We don't go to another tribe and uh, mix a ceremony. I would never do a Sundance or something like that. That's a Lakota thing. Um, so as we're teaching these young warriors out there, of course, it is frozen. I'm gonna show a couple pictures real fast. It is frozen out there. That's an actual pyramid in the back that everyone thought was just a hill, but we knew that was a pyramid. Now that teepee, just to the left of that teepee in that military tent, is where I was staying. There's called Flag Road. All those flags going up, so it was just all the way down, almost to the end of Flag Road. I think there's one bathroom over there, and then we're in that next section, the entire group. But I went up to that pyramid, and I could see everything. That picture right there is actually called "Last Man Standing." Um, this was in censored news. If you ever type in censored news, it's under lead horse arrested at Standing Rock. I had a lot of people and friends call into the Fort Yates jail from all over the world because I'd been doing a lot of traveling before I was arrested there. But this picture was the one used on the internet. And even though people didn't see my face in there, they knew who I was. And there was people calling from El Salvador, Honduras, Canada, Hawaii, New York, California, Oklahoma, Texas, everywhere, um, telling the Lakota there to let me go because they knew who I was, and there's no reason for them to hold me, and there wasn't any reason for them to hold me there. So I'm teaching these uh, young warriors, and they're all good young men, good young women, different nationalities, different tribes, uh, and this is actually the group that got the eagle feathers. That's one of the white eagle feathers that's in this young lady's hand. She's Oneida in the Canada area, in the Canada region. But that group who went through the ghost dance ceremony that we had from December the 29th through January 2nd. That's when the original ghost dance was supposed to have been done. So we had the opportunity to fulfill that ghost dance ceremony. We danced for 4 days and 4 nights, but everyone still had to have their duties to run their security checks to make sure everyone's safe out there. So every 3 hours, they would come back to the tent. They would come back to this tent every 3 hours, and we would sing and dance and pray. And that ceremony is to get all the evilness, all the bad things, the bad beings away from the people, to get to push everything away, but also to not have people harmed while this is happening. Uh, and as the old saying goes, the bullets will not hurt you. So we had that ceremony for 4 days and 4 nights, and the young people were driving back in their four wheelers. Every 3 hours, you can hear four wheelers coming in, and then they would all come in, and we had it to where they would take their boots off and everything. So they would come in, take all their gear off. They would have their traditional clothes on, and we would sing and dance and pray to keep everyone safe while we're here, while this is happening. And it was because we were these young people before I got there, and one other time. But if you can see that rubber bullet in the middle, That's what people were being shot with in the eye. Uh, all these other things, they look like shotgun shells to me. So I'm not really sure about what these other ones are. But this is what the young people, our group, picked up while out there, while they were being shot at. They were grabbing these things as evidence and showing and bringing back these, rubber bullets and uh, saying this is what shot what's his name in the eye and so and so. And there was one young man who didn't get in that ceremony with us. He was from the same area, but he went to another group and was in their ceremonies, which we don't recommend. We didn't know those people, and he was kind of doing his own thing, kind of exploring, I guess. But we were staying together as a unit to work together to get through this. And there was one night where everything just hit. The military, the mercenary groups, they was all firing rubber bullets. They were trying to take people to jail, which there's no legal right to do that, but they were there to kidnap and take people. The group that we were in the ceremony with, there was an older woman. She is in this picture. She is at the far right. She is in the black jacket with the little fluorescent thing in the front, but she's not agile or mobile so much. I mean, she does her thing, but she's not a runner. And she actually was out there when one of these altercations happened. Our guys were out there running security. The that woman had slipped and fell, and in that doing so, another young man fell, and so he crawled back to her, grabbed her by the back of the coat here, and was like not on the knees, but he was lowly pulling her, trying not to get shot himself. And there's a snow embankment that people built to try to stop the vehicles from coming through. So now he has to pull her over that embankment, and they're still being fired at, and these rubber bullets are just going past him. And when she gets finally drug over to the top, she slides down, and they help her up, and people are helping her, get down the road and get out of the firing lane. And so after that altercation happens, a lot of people got hurt. A lot of people got sent to jail, but were not charged. That kind of deal. They just wanted to harass and hurt people, and then they let them go. And then, but when everyone got back, because I wasn't at that altercation, I was doing my thing, just teaching. And when they all came back after that altercation to that same tent and said, they was telling me what happened, and the woman was also telling us that she could see while she was being dragged that she could see those bullets coming and just going right past her. And some of the other guys said they could hear it skim off of their jackets or just whiz past them. But not one of them got hurt. Not one of them got shot. But people were getting tagged left and right because these are mercenary snipers having fun out there. So they're just tagging people, shooting people in the eyes and everything. And that one guy who was not in those ceremonies with us, he actually got shot in the eye, and it swelled up to where it looked like there's no possible way that it could go any bigger without bursting or splitting. But he was okay. It finally went down, but that also got a lot of support from some other nations. In seeing that, a lot more tribal nations showed up after that to help. So this is what was being shot at everybody, and that rubber bullet in the middle is one. It's not the exact one, but that's the same type that hit one of the guys that we was with who didn't make it to the ceremony for protection. He was shot in the eye with that middle one, that rubber blue middle one. And this is the group who was who was not hit. Not one of those young ones were hit. Um, so I'm up at the my vehicle gets a little damaged, so I'm up at what they call the Prairie Knights Inn. It's just a little bit up the hill from where the encampment was. And so I'm up there in the garage trying to get a part fixed on my vehicle, and uh, I can't get a hold of anybody. I can't get any help. Nobody's on the phones. There's hardly anybody at the Prairie Night thing. So I go up on a second floor, because if you go up on a second floor, that they don't bother you so much there, but in the bottom floor they want to know if you got a room or if you're with somebody. So I'm up on a second floor and I meet this young man, and he's got a turban on, and just he comes and sits down. He's got his laptop and he's talking, and he says, he kind of says, "Hey, what's going on?" So, "Oh, nothing much." And he's like, "So have you been down to the camp?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm trying to get back down there now." I said, "But I can't get a hold of anybody." And he goes, "Well, do you think there's anything going on?" I said, "Well, yeah, I can't get a hold of anybody. There's got to be something going on. So, but I can't get down there." And he said, "Well, you want me to take you down there?" I said, "Yeah, I've been trying to get down there all day." And but he said, "Yeah, let me get my gear and everything." He wants to do an interview, and that was with Jazeera,
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera TV. But you won't ever see this interview. You won't ever see that interview on Al Jazeera TV. The young man come down there, and at that time, uh, a guy named Julian Rodriguez. He's with the AIM Society. He was down there. He finally called me back, and I said that we're on the way down there, and I got a guy from Al Jazeera who's we can do a movie or interview with.
What is the AIM Society?
AIM Society is actually the American Indian Movement organization. It's a Native American organization that's helped a lot of people in the past. I just don't agree with some of their tactics, and I've been vocal about that before. But there are a lot of good people in that organization. Once the leadership is changed over, I'm sure it will do a lot better. But that is the American Indian Movement organization. Still a lot of good people in there, but I still don't agree with some of their tactics, and but that should be over pretty soon. So I'm taking this young man down to the front lines, because I'm going straight to the front lines, and tell Julian that as soon as we get down there, we're going to try to get him to the front. He says, "Don't worry about it, just get down here." We pull up, and he meets us, and Julian's a really big guy also, and but he also knows a lot of people there, and we plus our security group, our guys are one of the main guys in this group holding that line at this time. And so once we get down there, we meet with Julian. Uh, you can see there's a lot of people on the bridges. Let me see if I got a picture here. There's a lot of people on the bridges. It's real kind of packed. And so we all start walking down there. Everybody knows me, and then the security guys that we're working with, they're there. And so we probably got about 10, 15 guys that are just with us. And so while we're walking down there with the Al Jazeera guys, it's like the Red Sea, because our guys are down there spaced out, and they move out of the way. And so us three are just walking down in this very packed area, walking down between these barricades, going to the front where those lights are. That's the front line. As we're walking through there, I run into this guy Hope you can see him. He's all wrapped up in the barbed wire. I mean the what's the word for that? Constantine wire or
Concertina, razor wire.
mhm, the razor wire or the Constantine wire, but very sharp wire. I come walking by him and he's all wrapped up in it, and he said, and he's smiling and he's laughing. If you look, that's a big smile on his face. But he asked me, he goes, I got some clippers. Do you want to take some of this this wire home as a souvenir? I said, no. I said, but thank you. And he goes, man, I got a whole bunch of it though. I'm like, okay, but I don't want any. But he said, well, if you want some, I'll be here. I was like, okay. And so we continue walking and we're going down to the front. And this is before the fire area, so it's still way back there. We're not even at the lights yet. And if you look, the lights are real low, so we're still way back there. And so we done went through one group. Now we're coming to the next group. And we're making our way, getting closer and getting closer. Now we're getting up to the fire area. They've got fires there on the bridge. And they're trying to hold that bridge for as long as they can without getting shot. We actually get some shields in, and they're plastic police shields, and you have little stoppers you screw in for an arm brace and everything. So I was teaching them how to use their shields to keep not just the top, but your bottom covered. Don't just walk in unless you got the shin protectors. Because if anybody walks in with the shield and you can still see their feet or their ankles, you're going to shoot for their ankles, because you can break their ankles. And if you do get shot on your foot, you know how that would feel. Somebody just stomps, because you can break your foot too. And also, whenever you're leaving, if you have to leave fast, you throw it on your back and go at a slow but a low kind of a waddle. So because you're going to get hit. But if you got it down low, you're protected and you can make it out. Same way going in, all the way down. Don't expose your feet or your ankles. Anything, and mercenary shooters are very good. So count on getting shot in the foot. So we're making our way down. We're getting closer to the front here. These young men are holding the ground there. And they asked me, it's kind of like a stairway at the front. They put cement blocks up there, and they put a little bit of mortar, so it's sturdy, but they still got things bracing it. So it's kind of like a wall, and you got a fire behind it, and everybody's behind it. Everybody's talking, and as soon as we walk up, some of our guys are right there in front with the security holding the line. And I said, hey, Al Jazeera's here. These guys, you should talk to. And so Al Jazeera starts doing an interview right there. And some young man who knew me looked down and he goes, hey, lead horse, you want to come up here to the front with the men? It was kind of funny at that time. I said, yeah. I said, looks like you got a lot of people there, though. And so he looked at one other guy. He goes, hey, can you move so he can get up here? And the guy goes, yeah, because if you're up there, you're a target. So he goes, yeah, I'll get out the way. And so they clear a path for me, and I walk up, and I get on the very top, and I'm looking down at this other group, and I got it on YouTube somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where I have this talk. All the men are lined up on my side, and the mercenary groups, the sheriffs are on that other side, and I'll show you pictures in just a moment. And so I'm standing up there, and so I talk real loud, and I tell this group, and I tell these guys, I said, if you're a water protector, you're on this side. Those men are over there are not water protectors. And I said, I used to be in the military, and we would never have done something like that. Something like these people are doing here. And if you ever join the military, don't ever do anything like this. Protect water, protect the people. Don't do what these people are doing. And so I make that speech. It wasn't intended. It was just something that I just needed to say at that time. And so this is what we're looking at on the other side of that bridge. State of the art, everything, generators, whatever you need. These mercenary groups are fully funded. Oil money, everything is going through here. Groups from all over the place are paid to come in here. These groups should never be in there. These are special operation groups, Tiger Seal groups, buying supplies from Texas. And this young man here was when I was making that speech, and I was looking straight down. I could barely see him. And he was waiting in the shadows. And once I got through with that speech, I just stood there and looked. And this young man came out. He walked out of the darkness and looked at me for probably about 5 or 10 seconds. Then he turned around and walked back into the darkness. And when he come out, just to let me know that, you know, he's out there. And my thing was just to let him know that I know you're out there. And so he turned around, and when he left, these other guys come up and they started refueling the lights, the generators. But a lot of our guys didn't know how many men that they had at that time. But as soon as he turned and walked into the darkness, there was car lights all the way up that hill, just lit up like a whole row of snakes. Whole row of snakes up that road. And that's how many men and vehicles they had out there in the darkness. They had a lot of manpower out there. Let's see what this is. And this was a daily thing. They had everyone surrounded with that wire everywhere. You could not go anywhere without getting caught or cut up or shot, maced, beat, kidnapped.
Did you also say they had pulse weapons?
Yeah, they had the I believe it's the RAD, RAD, the LRAD. They had missile launchers. They had everything you could think of out there. And these are microwaves that could just microwave you on the inside. If you start feeling hot, you're getting hit by this. Infrasound, and these are sounds that will bust your eardrums. They will distort your cells. These are some serious weapons that they use. So I have to leave Standing Rock because I got a bad tooth. Actually, I had it fixed, but the dentist had put too much on the top when filling that cavity. So when I'm biting down, it's actually pushing my tooth root down deeper into my gum. So I had to go all the way back to Oklahoma. But I come right back. I tell the men, I said, I'm just going to go have this pulled. I don't trust anyone from the reservation here, and I don't trust any of the city, you know, the people who live in the nearest city of Bismarck and all those areas to be working on my teeth, because there was a lot of racism going on in these areas and along any reservation areas. So I told the men that I'm going to go back to Oklahoma to a doctor I know, to a dentist I know, have this taken care of. And all I'm going to do is have a pull, and I'm coming right back. That's all I'm doing. And so this other group wanted to also go the same way and get out and then go back because they had some other things that they had to do. So I took this other group out too. But I said, there's a storm coming. We have to move at this certain time. and they agreed. So we both vehicles took off. I went the same way I was given to by my friends at Parmalee. We got to the first gas station at Eagle Butte, and I told the other car to gas up and fill it up. They took their time, and then I kind of drove, and I came back around, kind of got a little upset, and I just told them, I said, fill your tank up. And as soon as they filled it up, and I knew it, we took off, and there was a storm. It was started snowing right at that gas station. And so we pulled down. We got just barely in front of that storm, and it was still a 100-mile stretch. And as soon as we pulled up to my friend's house in Parmalee, they opened the door up. They seen me. They said, "Get in. There's a storm coming." We're like, "We know, we know." And so we got inside, and the other vehicle, the driver who didn't want to gas up, but eventually did, thank me afterwards and let me know that their vehicle wouldn't have made it if they hadn't put in that extra gas. So sometimes just listen to that guide, someone who's already been there, done that, because they have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that can help you and help save your life also. So I make it out there, and I'm having to do one more thing. So I'm not coming right back, but I'm letting the guys know I'm coming back, and they're saying everyone's trying to get us to leave. There's this big invasion coming in tomorrow, and they're asking me what I would do. I said, well, I'd hold my ground. I'd stay there, build a big front, and have backup to keep coming in, keep hitting them, even if you're just laying bodies on them. And but these other groups had talked everybody out of just walking out peacefully and just going by a little further back behind the river, and that we're all going to be okay, or that they're going to be okay. Next thing I know, I'm heading back up to Standing Rock, and I find out that group, they're actually on YouTube. Everyone's walking out singing songs like, I don't know. But I'm like, what? I leave for a week, and the whole thing just moved the whole camp. Then they moved it back up on the other side of the river, so now they're up on the top hill, which is very strategic. But when I show up, I have to find a new spot because my tent's gone. They've moved everyone. There's a lot of things going on there. So everyone has moved across the river, and if anybody is there, this is a true part, because everyone was on YouTube walking off across the bridge. A few people did get arrested, from what I understand, but we had to find a new place to keep resisting, to keep standing, and so I had to find a way into these last two camps. I think one was called the Black Hoop Camp, which we changed to the Ceremony Grounds. We said, we're not going to be a camp. Let's make this a ceremony area. That way, this has nothing to do with a camp. You have to change the name up. And so when I get back, I'll meet, and he should be on in just a little bit. But I meet with a young man, and he's telling me that this is his land, this is his home, and I tell him I'm here to help resist, and I've been here. I just got back, and everybody, a lot of people knew me, and they were telling him. And then I told him, I said, we're here to do ceremonies also, to keep the strength and the spiritual up of the people. And he's a spiritual young man also. And when we get to that point, you'll understand what we're talking about. Let me see if
you want to do like a 2-minute break. Let everybody do a bathroom break.
Okay, yeah, we could do that, Nigel.
Yeah, we will take a 2-minute. 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's take a 2-minute break. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I'm gonna play that song again. So
You have till the song's over.
It's a 5-minute and 13-second song.
And welcome everybody that's in the chat. We'll catch up on chat at the very end.
Yeah, or actually when we get back. How about that? No, I better keep going. We better keep going.
Yeah, because everybody's behaving right now.
Yeah, and we got another guest coming on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute and 13-second break, and we'll be right back. So everyone, get you something to drink, get you something to eat, and join us back in just a moment.
They call it a pipeline, but those on the front lines know that black snake was sent for us to grow, to shed the skin our ancestors pray, of wounds old and calloused, so that we may stay, so that we may unite, unity our tool. No weapons are found in this court of rule. Men becoming ki'ai, steadfast in their guard, protecting women's hearts as their song become roots, roots to cast out healing for all sentient beings, to honor sacred mother, heart forward we heal. The salmon will run, the Mauna will breathe, the rivers will flow. The rainbow is here and prophecy tells us all generations will hear.
Stand up with the First Nations and our people that been living here for thousands of years. Stand up. We've been fighting for our freedom since the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria. Stand up. Like Geronimo, Sitting Bull, Red Cloud, Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier. Stand up. Now they poisoning the waters for our sons and our daughters, so we on the frontier. We won. One nation, one cause, one people, one tribe. Now it's us against the pipeline. Get on your feet for Standing Rock, and we'll show you how strong we could be when we unify.
To all my native people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my tribal people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my native people, to all the original people, to all my indigenous people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up.
Beginning, we was winning this game on planet Earth. It's been spinning. We've been living and dying, but giving birth the first of many nations. Celebrating them days when all that got made came after what God made. These days, we cater to these internet memes, internet streams. It seems them streams aren't clean. We need the whole story seen. We're hassling before water has gasoline in it. Malcolm X moment. Martin Luther King with a dream and war bone. Wounded knee plus Alcatraz dog on it. This is for the rock with prayers we stand on it.
Oh yeah, we playing on it, the earth, we camp on it. In a sweat lodge, singing our songs with grandfathers. Heat rocks all in the spot, we splash on them with a beatbox from my boy, we jam on it. Said a prayer for the black snake killers. Train on the front lines, they you're the realest. Stand for your people, stand for your family. Stand with Standing Rock, stand for humanity. Hey.
It takes a group of people who actually care about Mother Earth and life and water being sacred and the land being sacred to say, we stand up.
To all my native people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my tribal people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my native people, to all the original people, to all my indigenous people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up.
Mini Wachoni, water is life.
Mini Wachoni.
Water is life.
Water is life. Water is life.
Water is life.
I stand with Standing
I stand with Standing Rock.
I stand with Standing Rock. I stand with Standing Rock. Stand up. Stand up.
Stand up. Stand up.
I stand with Standing Rock. Stand up.
To all my native people,
Woke up and sang, we won't go quiet.
To all my tribal people,
Don't mistake our peace as we stand defiant.
to all my native people,
It's the calm before the storm, and I can hear it coming.
to all my tribal people.
I'm ready for the battle when we ain't running.
Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, 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 stand up. Standing rock with standing feet as history is on a sad repeat. Is it liberty or we just acting free as our land depletes from these hands of greed? See, fate is found how we face the hounds. Take a vow for these sacred grounds. Make a sound that'll shake them out. Sing aloud what can save us now.
Okay, we're back. Everybody got them something to drink. I think we got some tea ourselves. But still need to see. Okay, I just because we're getting close to our friends' time to come on and talk, and we want. I just sent him another message. He's en route. He had a couple meetings, but he said he's going to make this one for sure. So now that we're being pushed back, well, the men were pushed back before I got back. Otherwise, I would have been in jail again, or worse, or we would have succeeded at our objective to deter the military and the sheriffs and the police and the higher security and Tiger Swan and all the other groups that were there trying to get this pipeline through so they could pollute the water for 18 million people. If this is to happen, if this goes through, 18 million people will not have drinking water. The reservation will not have drinking water. So we had our objectives, and that's why we were there. And the children called us. And if the children hadn't called, I wouldn't have went. And if people hadn't got hurt, I wouldn't have went. But those were some reasons that I had to go and to help out. And I do want to thank the Choctaws of Mississippi, especially the warriors. Those young men, when I got back that way, I was talking with a couple of men, and they said that they were offered jobs to come up and work that pipeline or that oil line. They knew that we were up there, so they didn't go. And everyone needs jobs, but these men, their integrity, because they knew that we were up there fighting that pipeline and protecting the water, that they did their part for us. And that was a big deal for us to know that we come back. And that's a team that I play with in Mississippi in the stickball World Series. That's my team. And it's good to have that caliber of friends to know that while we're up there fighting, they're going to turn down money and things that they need so that they didn't interfere or hurt us up there. And we appreciate that. So now I'm having to get back. So I'm looking for a new place, and I run into there's one big camp, and there's like a real small camp. And this is that. I'm going to show a picture of this real small camp real fast. Now, we put up those warrior flags, those red flags, to say that this area is protected by the Warrior Society. There's a house back there, and there's a white tent, a makeshift little tent over to the right. That old house in the back, that's it's not a house where anybody lives, but at this time people were bunking in there, closing up windows to stay warm. It was chilly out there, and if you had security like that, you could see a lot of people were sleeping in there. But we're trying to find this new area, and I'm talking to this young man named Carr Ironcloud. That's who we're waiting on. Uh, but he said it'll be just a second. Let's see. He said, "Oh, it's heading to oh here." Uh, so anyway, we're talking with Ironcloud. This is his area. This is his home. This is like your 1 acre of land. This is your area. This is his where he lives. His house is just to the right of all that. And so, I let him know who I am. We talk a little bit. We talk about sharing ceremonies, and we're here protecting the water. And so we hit it off real good. I mean, right off the beginning.
And he's a Lakota medicine man and ceremony keeper.
Yes, Carr Ironcloud is a Lakota medicine man. He's in line to be the next white buffalo calf pipe carrier of the Lakota Nation of the Medicine Society. That's who will be on in just a little bit. Great guy once you listen to him. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm going to go ahead and tell our part so that and when he comes on, we can join it together. So we talk about we can't be a camp. If this is it, we got to be in prayer. We got to be in ceremony. We got to be asking for our own protections right now. Too many people are not here for what we're here for. And a lot of people are stealing. What we brought in, we left with. We didn't take one thing from there. Trying to think if there's anything that we took from there. I don't think we took anything from there because everything was supposed to be left for the people. But there was people taking yurts. They were taking, and on those last days at that camp, there was a U-Haul that was just loading everything up they could get their hands on. I'm a little upset. I'm saying, if I was leaving, I'd have done been gone. I wouldn't be out here stealing and grabbing everything that someone else needs.
And this is the stuff that was the little bit of stuff that made its way through from what had already been stolen from the people and never made it there, right?
Yeah, this is the little of mass big things were sent to us, generators, diesel generators, things like that we could have used out there really well and made it through easy. But these were being shipped to storage areas and we didn't get them. So we're going with the bare minimum. We have hardly anything, but we do have our spirituality. We do have our faith. So that was enough to get us through. So we talked with Carr, Mr. Ironcloud, and we talk about how we need to change this to the ceremony grounds because if it's a camp, they can come in. That's an occupied camp area. So if you use those certain words, they can come in. So we changed it. I'm going to show a picture, but we changed it to the ceremony grounds. And we made this big piece of wood and fixed it up to let everybody know this is the ceremony area. Don't be coming in here unless you're here for the ceremony, which there was people already in there and who had already been there before. So we let them be in there. But this is a picture of what our area looked like on the last closing part of the days. This road went in. That is the house. It's an abandoned kind of house in the back, but people were still using it to sleep in, to stay warm. That building on the left is a makeshift bathroom building that everyone built so that people could have privacy and indoor. And it is off grid, so it was used with wood chips and of the wood of the off grid choices. And this is a little further back area of that area also. There's a vehicle in there on the left side, and I believe that's the one I was using. And there's a tent up on the hill a little further out, and that was also at another friend's area, another friend, and his name is Marcos. I can't think of his last name, but Marcos wanted to. We're getting to the last days. Out of 10,000 people, we maybe have 1,000 people left. People are taking everything that's not nailed down. We're running out of everything, all the supplies, everything's being taken, even the firewood's being taken. There's this big thing that I talked to Iron a couple of months before. There's so many threats of these people coming in and destroying everything and arresting and taking people. But I told everybody, don't worry about that until March 1st. On March 1st, you're going to see a jet fly over where we're at 12 noon. And this is months before. This is probably in December, I guess, that I'm talking about this. I said, because that's when the big push will come. That's when the military moves. They march. They move. They march. It's not just a word. It's a march. If you look at any military invasions and altercations, I guess you would say, it's around the March time, because that's when the military moves. So on this same day, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So now we're at the camp. Let me back this up. We're at the camp. We've got the signs changed. It's a ceremony area. We're not here for altercations. We're only going to do our ceremonies in this area. This alignment is starting to happen, and it's called what's it called? It's an eclipse. The Ring of Fire. This was happening at that time, and it just happened again. I believe was it October?
Mm-hmm.
In October, there was an eclipse that just happened called the Ring of Fire. We used that alignment as a protection of both the sun and the moon to give us protection on what we had to do so we could finish what we was doing. I've been in this ceremony before, and it's a little tricky ceremony, but luckily we got some of the photos from that ceremony, and I'm going to show you part of that. And remember, but Marcos wanted to learn how to fire keep, and I also teach how we fire keep our fires. Which the last Ring of Fire alignment happened October the 14th of this month.
Last month.
Of last month. But Marcus wanted to learn how to fire keep, and I said, well, it's 4 days, you know. But he's learning. He wants to learn every ceremony, and so we're having the Ring of Fire ceremony right now. So I asked Marcus, and here's a picture of Marcus. I asked Marcus if he would help me prepare for this ceremony. And so what we do is we put something that will burn, like hay or dry grass, with little pieces of wood. And we have that on the outside, and it's in a circle. And on the inside is where we have our fire, our ceremony fire. And we wait until the alignment happens. And when the alignment is right over, we knock down the fire and use a rake and pull that fire out in all directions and set the whole ring of fire, the whole ring on fire, while the alignment is doing the same exact thing. And here's a couple of pictures I want to show you real fast. Here is Marcos getting prepared for the Ring of Fire ceremony. And so we're having our prayers for protection and protecting the people, and for the sun and the moon, for the alignment that's happening to keep us all safe. And this is in the middle of the ceremony. This is when the alignment is happening. We ask people to not be in the ring because you can get a lot of smoke when this ceremony happens. It only happens once in a while. So everyone stepped out of that ring. When we lit it on fire, and you don't want to be in the middle of this. And so after the ceremony was done, this is what the Ring of Fire ceremony will look like if done correctly. It'll have the 4 directions, and it'll have the Ring of Fire around it. The other grass will be lightly burned, but not much. And we're still waiting on Car, but it's okay because we still got a little bit more. So this is the end of the Ring of Fire ceremony. The alignment is dissipating and moving away and out again. So there's another ceremony that I want to do for everybody, and it's a healing ceremony for the people. I wanted to take their trauma from them and release it and let it go. People were having the trauma of being shot at, the trauma of being hit with sticks and battalions. People were being kicked. People were being their heads pushed underwater, thrown around, maced, getting stuff in their eyes, called every name in the book. Anything to beat these people and get them to stop protecting this water. They were doing everything that you could think of that they could legally, not lawfully, but legally get away with. And of course, there's a lot of big money going on. There's racism going on. Everyone knows if you get into their hands that you're looking at some jail time because they all work together and they're trying to get this line through. So we decided that we're going to have a healing ceremony. And this is right before March 1st. This is like what's the last? January. February. Last part of February. It's just like it was a 4-day ceremony for the healing, to let the people know that we appreciated everyone coming from other countries to help us try to stop this pipeline coming through. It was just a lost cause because we were already sold out before, but we wanted to stay there to the very end to keep our word to the children that we're here as long as we can be here. And I mean as long as we can be here, not as far as money runs out or we got to go home. As far as until we're taken, we're here. Until we're killed, we're here. And we'd already prepared for death also. So now we're going to have a healing ceremony for everyone. And everyone's included because everyone went through this. Different tribes, different races. It was people from all over the world that came to the ceremony. We asked them to let go of everything that happened here. And we thanked them. We hugged them. We let them know that we appreciated them coming to help with the water. They've done all that they could do up to this point. and we were going to release them from their duties. We did not want them to be harmed anymore. There was a lot of tears shed during this healing ceremony, and they thanked us for still holding these ceremonies to the very end. We was the only one that had the ceremonies, and we brought the ceremonies with us. We had the ceremonies to the very last possible moment before anyone was seriously harmed. So now that we're going to start this ceremony, we're getting prepared for it. Here I am getting some wood together. Now they're coming in the next day. There's a big words that's coming, but we're still, well, it's almost March 1st is what it is. And so I'm having this ceremony, but I know that once they come in, they're going to be taking the food, or they're going to be running over it, smashing it, tearing it up. They're going to run through the tent, because I've seen them do this before. They're going to destroy everything that they can, even the things that are salvageable and usable. They're still going to destroy everything and throw it into a dump. So I got the flour, grain, cereals, and I started doing the creation sequence. This is also the Fibonacci sequence. This is also called the the creation sequence of how the elements come together to form a vessel. So I start with the ceremony, and I'm getting the fire going. This is going to be the last stand, the last ceremony. Marcos joins. He wants to be a firekeeper. So I'm going to teach him, take him under the wing, and teach him how to take care of the fire for 4 days and the duties of a firekeeper. We have a couple of days to where other people are starting to come in. They're seeing what we're doing. The word's getting around about the healing ceremony. And if you can see at the very bottom, you're going to see a green leafy outline, but that is all cedar that we put all into the fire to take the negativity away from each individual. Berta Caceres was a friend of mine who passed away for doing these same things as far as protesting. She was assassinated and murdered. She was the Lenca leader of the Honduran people, the Lenca tribe. She was assassinated for doing exactly what we do and what we were doing at that time. But during this time also, on these last kind of days, a woman walks in, and while we're having the ceremony, she hands me these papers, and she says, I was told to give this to you. And I said, well, okay, well, thank you. And she goes, no, it's from New York. I said, oh, okay. And I was thinking it was someone I knew. So I looked at it, and I said, well, I don't know these people. Here's that package. It was handed to me, and it says, we stand with you. There's an email up there. Love from Brooklyn, New York. Miss
Bernie.
Bernie.
And Miss Bernie and Mr. Horowitz's 4th grade class, the Berkeley Carroll School in Brooklyn, New York. And it's just a whole packet of cards and encouragement and letters and thanks. Some photos from the school children. And then photos of the children standing with those who are standing up at Standing Rock.
So if anyone is from New York or Brooklyn, New York area, if you might know this class or Miss Bernie or Mr. Horowitz, fourth grade class at Berkeley Carroll School, 701 Carroll Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11226. Maybe you can let them know that we said hi. Your message was received. We stood as long as we possibly could stand. And when we received your mail, we had the youngest child that was there. There's only one we had, which is called the last child standing, is what we named her. The last child was about 9 years old, came in, and we had that child read every letter to the entire group that was there. And so we got to hear a child's voice read, and she wasn't the best reader, but not all children are. So that made it even better. And but we got to hear every child in that class telling us not to give up. They stand with us, protect the water, stand warriors. They was giving us all the encouragement, and we all looked at each other just listening to this, and we said that's what it's about. These children, these next generations, they called us. That's why we're here. And this is why we're doing this. But it was something to get all that all at one time, so that everyone knew that it wasn't just us taking that beating. It wasn't us, getting thrown into the water or maced down or beat or shot in the eye or something. It wasn't just us. There was a lot of people, a lot of friends that we didn't know we had out there, and a lot of children were watching too. So especially if the children are watching, you do your best out there. And that's what we were doing. We kept up with the ceremonies. Um, we made sure that everyone left thanked. We made sure that everyone who was there to help us, that we thanked them, we hugged them, we let them know, you did your best. Right now, this is all we're asking of you. We don't want you to go any further. The next step's up to us. And so we had asked people to go ahead and leave peacefully, because they're coming in, and we only had like a day left. And March 1st was coming, and we knew it, or at least I knew it. But Cara also knew. So we continued after this. We continued with the ceremonies, the healing ceremonies. Now these are 4-day ceremonies, so we have to be there for 4 days, no matter what. Keep that ceremony going until it's completed, until it's finished. Only then are you relieved of your duties. So this is the night photo of the fire. And remember, we're still praying all night. We're giving thanks. We're giving the fire water and food, flame, everything the fire needs to keep going strong. This and those lights in the background, that's from the pipeline. That's the people who are that's the people who are trying to pollute and destroy 18 million people's water all through the night. This is a morning scene for 4 days. So we're out there. If you ever been in a 4-day ceremony or even fasted for 4 days, it's especially if it's not my first time, but it was other people's first time. But if you fast, especially in 4 days, if that's your first time, on that, when it's time for you to be legally able to drink water or whatever, like my first time, even though my throat's sore now, but my first time when I was coming up to the last minute because I was not gonna fail in my 4-day fast. But when that time come to where I could drink water, what I did was I put orange juice, I had a soda pop, I had some water, I had some tea, I some unsweet tea. I was like, I wanted everything I could drink. Oh my goodness. But we're having The 4-day ceremony, we're keeping it going. People are still coming, and people are coming day and night. They're hearing about the ceremony, and that it doesn't matter what time they get there. We're going to put them into the center, take this trauma, and thank them proper. We want to thank them for putting your life in jeopardy, for putting yourself right here on this front line with us, for standing right here with us at this time when we need you. That's what we thank them for. We said, and we let them know you have no more obligations. Don't think that you have to come back. Don't think that you even have to think of here anymore. You've done what you had to do. So now you can let all this go. Let it go. We're going to take care of the rest. And it's something to see that, because a lot of people it's like they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and do what, and people were locking themselves down and chaining themselves up to equipment. Some people were getting really hurt for doing this. There was dog attacks. The mercenary group sent dogs on people. There was a lot of trauma happening. So we did our part. We stayed with that ceremony. No matter what time they arrived, we were there. When though that sun came up, we was there every morning. We made sure Berta was there. She was a water protector and a defender of the land, a Linka leader. So we carried her with us. Here's a picture. Here's a picture of, her name is Pua Case. She's from the Hawaiian Kingdom. She's one of their top Hawaiian elders and leaders. If you ever meet her, she's a great woman. She's very strong in her traditions. The people back her. She's a great person to even be around, just to listen to her talk. She got such a sweet voice that you wouldn't think that she would be able to command so many people with that voice. But if you ever see her, her name is Pua Case. Looks like I was a little skinnier back then. She is just a delight to be around. If you ever meet her, such a delight to be around. So we're coming up on the last days of this ceremony, and I have it kind of timed out to where the flame should just be going down that morning of March 1st. I'm trying to, like what you would say, beat the clock. I know I got until March 1st, 12 noon, before a big rush comes in. And so I'm trying to get everyone, whoever needs this last bit of trauma taken, to get to that fire so we can get that off of you. And so that you hear the words, that you hear how much we appreciate you, how much we appreciated what you did. And, you know, whenever you go to bat with somebody and you're on that front line, sometimes there is gunfire. Not a lot of times, but sometimes you just know that guy beside you, if they're right there with you, you know, they're worth it. And that's where a lot of friends come from. And that's why, like, we have friends, but we don't have a lot of friends, because we say people have to be friend worthy. You have to be our friend. We will be your friend if you be our friend. And that's the way it works with us. But if people kind of ridicule or attack, then we don't want to be friends with that. We want to be friends with a friend. So we're having these ceremonies, and we're thanking everybody. We're appreciating everything that's going on. They're about to come in, and this is the last day of February that we're putting all the food in, because we know they're going to come in, just run over everything. So we're going to give creation everything back. We're going to give you the food. We're going to give you the water, the tobacco. We're going to give you our prayers and thank you, and thank this fire for bringing so many people with that smoke. Everybody knew where that fire was. To thank everybody for these last days. They were wonderful last days. I'm getting the last bit of the food. There's avocados, there's tomatoes, rice in there, there's strawberries. We know we're not going to be allowed to take it. We know that if we're the ones still standing there when they come in, if you're not ready for them, they're going to run you over. But if you are ready for them, if you've got enough people, you're going to withstand that assault. So I'm getting everything ready for these last days, and I'm getting all the food, giving it all back to the fire. My firekeeper did not make it to the 4th day, which I tell everybody, if you have a 4-day ceremony, when I tell you to sleep, you go to sleep. We had to lose a tracker who fell asleep on guard duty because he wouldn't go to sleep when I needed him to go to sleep. But this young man, he made it 3 nights. He didn't make it to that 4th night. It's a pace. You got to pace yourself during that time, and you got to sleep when you sleep. You got to change the wood every 2 hours. That's when by the time you'll get close to it, it's almost burned out if you do that. Hour 45 minutes is the best. 2 hours if you're just so tired. But on that 4th day, if you're not doing it like that, you're not going to make it to that 4th day. And he didn't make it to that 4th day, so I had to finish myself. And so I'm getting everything ready. I'm getting it to where this is the very last. This is everything in the fire. The very last of it's going to be burnt down. I've got it perfect to where that last little bit is just going to go straight down and finish out that fire. But to close one, you have to cool it down and circle it to close that door. You want to close that door so that no one can come in and put another medicine or some wood, start it back up, and use that fire that you just put all your medicines and prayers in. You want to close that so no one can use it. So here is that picture. I've got everything to where it's going to burn down. It's going to take all the rest of the day to burn down, but it is about 11. Let's see. It's probably about 10:30 when this is happening. Now, I don't see Carr in the room yet, and I'm waiting on him, but Carr is trying to get back to his house, which is where we were. It's the long dirt road that went into the ceremony grounds. Let me put that back up. Now, there's a long dirt road that goes into this ceremony ground area, but it's maybe a half mile. It's a long road, and then it hooks up to a main paved road. And the other camp was up on a hill, and we were that first dirt road. But at around that time, at 10:30, the military, the BIA, the tribal, the Lakotas blocked that road. Carr got to that barrier. They wouldn't let him into his own area, to his own home. And he had to watch everything happen. He could see the vehicles all going into the camps. He could only watch. But he has more details of his part, and I hope we get to talk to him. But he does have this on film that at 12 o'clock, he heard the plane coming, turned on his phone, and started recording it. And at 12 noon, that jet flew right over us. And he was kind of excited. He was on Facebook, YouTube, going, he said 12 o'clock months ago it would be here, and here it is. I got it on film. And so, but it's all just knowing certain times, certain cycles, certain things happen. These groups move at certain times. There's Masonic groups that move at certain times. Military moves at certain times and things. And there's certain things that happen during the month that if you're in our tracking class, you're going to learn about those other things too. So this is where all the BIA, the tribals are rolling in. I'm over here right in front of this, and I'm watching them come in. I know they're coming. I see the vehicles start rolling into the other camp. I said, well, they're going to come get us next because they hit the big one first. They're going to hit this small one second because there's not many here. And then all of a sudden, these other vehicles started turning down, coming down that dirt road. All new vehicles coming in. As soon as those vehicles pulled in, people started just scattering like a chicken coop or something would just chase the chickens out. They was just like taking off saying, oh no, we're leaving, jumping in their U-Hauls with everything stolen, putting it in gear and pulling out. There was no one there that I seen at the very end who was standing. They were all ready to go. They didn't want to get hurt. That comes with the territory. If you're going to be doing this stuff, if you're going to be helping people and protecting things, you can run into certain situations. So anyway, this fire is just about out. They see the fire. They know the fire. They all drive in to where I'm at. They tell me that I have to leave, and I tell them ceremony's not over. And besides that, you're not supposed to be here. This is where Carr lives. This is his land. And they said, well, Carr is not here, and we have to remove you. These are our orders. We know that they're trespassing. Carr had this big deal about that afterwards. So they grab one of my arms, and I shake them off. This other guy grabs another one. This other tribal grabbed another one. I shook him off and made him roll on the ground. Another one grabbed my arm. I wrapped this arm around his and came up underneath his elbow here. And I was pushing it up, and he grabbed my hair. It's long hair. And I told him, let go of my hair. I'm going to break his arm. And then this two other guys jumped out of their vehicles, and they had some mace with them. And they said, mace him down. And the one guy who was trying to hold my other arm too, I pushed him down too. And I tried to pull this guy over so that he would take the blunt of it. But at that time, that's whenever they hit me with the mace. It was a mace, and it covered my hair, covered my entire face. I couldn't see. It was so thick, I couldn't see out of it. I couldn't breathe whatsoever. When I opened my mouth, some of that stuff would just go in, so I had to blow it back out. So I wasn't getting air, and I was trying to bend down so it would drip so I could get a little bit of air. I could get no air whatsoever, and I could just feel the suffocation happening. And by this time, they got my arms behind my back because I can't see, and I'm trying to shake it off or shake off the film so I could get some air, at least with my nostrils or something. And I didn't. It was hard to even breathe because all that pepper smell would go up your nose too and in your mouth. So I'm really grasping for air, and these guys are still trying to put handcuffs on me, and I'm still resisting. And all of a sudden, when I'm trying to get any kind of air, I feel something touch my face and go like that. And then I hear, how did she get in there? Who is she? And I didn't know this person's name, but this person had got in there and wiped my face down with a handkerchief, enough to where I could get air. And that air was like, but also when I'm breathing in, I'm getting air, but I'm also getting that pepper spray in my nose, my eyes. I still can't see. I can't rub my eyes, because my hands are behind my back. So all this stuff is still, my eyes are still shaking, but at least I can breathe. At least I've got air. And I can take the rest. Rest is just pain, but I just couldn't breathe. That was a big thing. But they finally wrestled me to the vehicle and threw me in the back of a vehicle. And I was still rubbing my face on the seat. So now the whole vehicle smells like mace and pepper spray, whatever else they were using. So the whole vehicle smells like that, and I'm rubbing my face. I'm down on the seat trying to rub my face on anything, trying to get to where I could get my eyes, anything, but I couldn't get that out of my eyes. And so those were just burning, burning, burning. And you're supposed to get that out as quick as possible, but that didn't happen. So my eyes just beat red. They're burning. Still, I mean, the stuff is coming out of my nose. Hard to breathe still, but I can. And finally, an agent from Washington opened up the door and started pouring water on my face and everything, which I leaned into it so I could get that out of my eyes and everything. And they finally said I was arrested and that they're going to take me into the jail. And people were asking where they're taking me because they was going to help get me out. And but that BIA told them a different location than what they took me. So it took people a little time to get me out of there. And so I'm being taken in the vehicle, and I can't, I'm fully, got my arms behind my back, barely breathing, eyes are bloodshot, um, trying to still breathe. And finally, I get to what is called the Fort Yates jail, and I finally get unhandcuffed, and they pulled my hair out. I've got gobs of hair where they pulled out. My jacket's torn. I've got mace and orange stuff all over me. So they ask me what my name is. I don't tell them. What I tell them is that you Lakota have betrayed us. We came here to help you. I'm not an inmate. I'm a captive. I'm not a prisoner. I'm a captive. And that you betrayed every one of us. And there was a Chippewa too. He was a Maui guy from the Wisconsin area. He was mouthy, and I told him, I said, there ain't no way you could whoop my tail end. But we had a couple of words, and then when the nurses come in, they were Lakota too, and they were supposed to take my vitals and everything. I told the female Lakota, I said, don't touch me. I said, I don't trust any one of y'all. Every one of y'all are a part of the reason I'm here. And they put their hands. They said, I ain't touching him. They were saying, why do y'all even have him in here? And so the Chippewa had to take me back to the other Lakota people who, by this time, I'm steaming mad. I am mad that I've been betrayed by these guys. They put me into what they call the drunk tank, and there's some other guys in there, and I'm mad. So these other people who were in there, they turned over to look at who I was, and I'm looking at them in my eye to eye, and my eyes are red too. So I'm looking at them, and I'm just looking for any excuse to let some aggression out. And these other men turn back over and move against the wall. One guy gets up and bangs on the door and says, when am I getting out? My time should be up or close. So he's trying to get out, and I'm just sulking in this corner, and I'm just steaming mad. They try to feed me food, and I didn't take food or water. I didn't take a shower for 4 days. I didn't accept anything from anybody. They moved me 3 times because the other inmates were asking who I was and why I'm in here and why I'm not eating and why I'm not in these other orange clothes. And and I'm just mad. But people know that I'm in there and that I got arrested. And at this time in the Indian world, I know pretty much everybody. I've went to delivered supplies to help other tribes. I've been in standoffs when people needed me. I've drove across the country to be in some standoffs against state troopers and things like that. who were harming Native groups. If any group needed me, I would make my way there to help them. So at that time, everyone knew me, and so once they found out I was in the jail at the Fort Yates jail, that's when Censored News put this picture out that said Lead Horse Choctaw has been arrested and is in the Fort Yates jail, and for people to call and ask what the charge is or why he's in there. And so I've got people calling from Canada, Bolivia, Hawaii, Mexico, El Salvador, Honduras. And one person in El Salvador knows by experience that I will not eat in a prison or a jail. So they had called from El Salvador and said, you have to have someone he trusts to get him food, because they did this for me in El Salvador. That's another story when I was in the El Salvadorian prison. We'll get to that one later. But they had called and said that he's not going to eat in there and that he will die in there if you don't get someone he trusts to give him food, in which I wouldn't. I didn't eat for 4 days, no water, no shower. I didn't talk with anybody, but I could hear that phone was ringing all the time, 24 hours. People were calling from all over the place, and people would come in and tell whoever was on the phone that I didn't want to talk to anybody, which was a lie, because I had a protocol, because I've been in jail quite a few times for protesting, for defending the land, for protecting water. So I have already, I already know that doing this, you're going to get false charges. And if you look at any of those records, you're going to find no charges, because they were just arresting me to get me out of the way. But I already had a protocol that, and I always made sure that everyone knew where I was and what I was doing. So they had been making all these phone calls trying to just antagonize the jail to get them to realize that you have an innocent person in there. And it was on Censored News and a lot of places like that. But after, on that fourth day, whenever I'm getting out, or on the third day, actually, United States agent from Washington flew in. He got into my cell and was talking to me, and we talked about Berta Cáceres. And in that 4 days when I was in jail, that was Berta Cáceres' assassination time, that March 1st through the 5th time. So those 4 days I was in that ceremony. After I cooled down, I realized, okay, her ceremony starts tomorrow, or her time for the ceremony, which I acknowledge her every year. But I started doing the dancing and the praying and the singing for those 4 days. So all these jailers are also watching me. And on that third day, one guy, or the second day, a young man came in and said, I'm a medicine person too, and I know what you're doing. I know about fasting. And I said, you're not a medicine person. He goes, yeah, I am. I go to ceremonies. I said, no. I said, just because you go to ceremonies doesn't mean you're a medicine person. You can't have a job where you're going to harm people, hurt people, and incarcerate or to constrict or to confine somebody. That's not what a medicine person does. So he left, and there was a jailer in there, or a Lakota, who lied whenever I went into the courtroom, because I also know not to get into the court system. So there's certain words that doesn't get you into jurisdiction. And that Lakota said, because I said I hadn't ate for 4 days or for 3 days up to this point. And she said, it was a female, and said, is that true? He goes, no, he took some food the other day. I said, you're a liar. And so the court stopped there, and they put me back in the jail, or in the jail cell. And they said, well, why is he not in orange? Why is he not in the inmate colors? And the jailer of the Lakota said, he won't get in them. And I told the judge too. I said, you don't have jurisdiction. That's another story. But whenever the Washington agent had talked with me, we had talked about Berta Cáceres, and I was doing the ceremony, and he just came in, and he said, "Who killed Berta?" He said she was assassinated. I looked at her and I said, "You did." I said it was the coup in Honduras, which is sanctioned by the United States, who had her assassinated so that they could get that river and that gold out of that area. And he backed up like he knew exactly what I was talking about. And he goes, "Well, if you eat, I'll get you out of here." And I said, "Well, the only way I'll eat is if one of my friends brings me food." And he goes, "Well, we're trying to get a hold of all these people you're talking about and everything," which they finally got a hold of another person who brought me some chicken and a avocado, I think. Which I said, as long as I can see it and they hand it to me, or where I can see that no one else interferes with it, I'll eat. But I'm not going to eat with you or any of these people or in here. And so they finally got it to where this person was able to give me some food. And that was on the fourth day after the ceremony. That was that afternoon. And he said that since you ate, I'm going to get you out of here. He said, I'm not going to put any charges or anything on you. Just don't come back to North Dakota. Well, if there's no reason to go back, there's no reason for me to be there. But if there is a reason, I'll be back. But anyway, he started walking me out of the jail, and the Fort Yates, their police force, jailers, whatever, they got to the side of the wall because this guy from Washington, this agent, was walking me through there. And whenever we got to that door, the one Lakota started saying some words, the one that lied on me, and he said, that means wish you well. And so I had a few choice words for him that I'm not going to repeat here, but he got the idea and the notion that I was not happy with being betrayed. So I'm leaving out of that area, and the young men that I had been training and helping with the security force out there, they were also still there, but they were in a bus about to leave. They were as low as the feelings of being beat, as being, their spirits weren't up. Their spirits weren't, they just felt like they just got defeated. They've been here all this time working and trying to protect the water. They felt like they failed at everything they were doing. And they know I'm in jail. They know I've been in there for 4 days, 4.5, haven't eaten. They know I'm not quitting. But they also know that they have to leave because they have no more supplies. They have enough to get back and no time to stay there and no time to stay and figure out what I'm going to do. But at that same time, I was also released, or I hate to say that word, I left that area, and I caught a ride to that bus because I wanted to see them before they left and wish them well also. And so this bus is there, and there's a whole bunch of young people, young warriors. They're all, you can see that when I pull up, you can see they're just kind of sitting in there talking. I pull up. I get out of the passenger side. It's a van, and I'm not at full strength because I hadn't eaten for 4.5 days. And I didn't even eat that day before because we were in ceremony. So it's been about 5.5, maybe close to 6 days, I would say. And I was feeling it, a little weak, but still going. I got out of the van, and whenever they see me get out of the van, they all started getting off of the bus. And I walked over to them and I smiled at them. I said, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" And they said, "Man, every time we're at our lowest point, every time we feel like we're just defeated and beat, you always show up." So they all started laughing and having a good time. I said, "I'm okay." I said, "You guys are okay." I said, I'll meet you guys back there at your village. I'll come through. I'll stop in. And what I did was I called ahead to the War Society. I said, these young men are coming in. Give them a good welcoming. But I don't know if I'm going to make it in on time because my vehicle's not doing good. But I'm going to take a slower route. But they should be in about a week. So, give them a good homecoming. And they did. They set it up. They had a big dinner for them. They welcomed them back. They gave them praise, the eagle feathers, tobacco, and thanked them for what they did. Some of them still are on that protest world or line now. But we got betrayed out there, but we held our integrity. We did everything that we were supposed to have done. We didn't take anything from anybody. We didn't take any money from anybody. We trained as many people as we could to protect themselves. We had prayers every day for protection, for the water, for the people. We did everything possibly that we could to protect that water. They had to take us physically, and we were the only group to where they had to take us physically. And I was the actual last physical person that they took out of there. And I didn't get Art Carr. He was in and out of signal. He's on the reservation. But I really wanted y'all to hear from him the words of how we met and everything that we did together, and how he trusted us to leave us there in charge while he wasn't there, and that we're still just then, we're still in close contact with each other. We used to talk all the time. We don't talk as much now, but we do check in with each other. Just a great guy. Next white buffalo calf pipe carrier of the Lakota Nation. I look for him to do real good things. He knows a lot. We've trained. We've talked together. We've studied together. I've taught him quite a bit, and he knows what he's doing now. But here, I asked Carr to go and close that area out because I was arrested, and then I had to go back. So I didn't get to circle that out. So I asked him if he would go out there and check on that area. And he said that a gopher had made a hole straight in that fire where it's at and lives in there. And he said it's all hard down in there, and it's just like a little hut in there. But here's a picture of that. This was in the spring a little bit. When the spring just broke, the snow's off the ground now. But there's a gopher that's living right in the middle of that fire. It's probably the best smelling home because they had all the fruits and strawberries, everything, sweet grass in it. So that was what happened at Standard Rock. We didn't give up. We stayed to the very end. They had to physically remove us, and they didn't want my death on their hands either. The government and the tribe, because I wasn't going to eat. I wasn't going to drink any water. I was going to have to be released or to be let go or to given the opportunity to go my own way, because we were betrayed, and I was not going to eat with anyone who would do that to me or to our people. So
should we catch up on chat?
Yeah, so now we're going to catch up on the chat.
Carla, if you're still in the room, I was going to go right here. You got it?
Yeah, up here on top. There's where Jazzy was saying
I'm going to read Carla because she was about to leave if she didn't leave
Oh,
already.
okay.
Carla Washington says, I had to stand up for myself when I was working as a school bus driver, and truth be told, it was because of my race. Thank you, Jerry and Ella, for standing for what is right. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Carla. Carla who?
Carla Washington.
Carla Washington. Thank you, Carla.
She says, thank you for standing up for a very important cause. People are so greedy. May you be protected. Thank you. Thank you, Carla.
Thank
She
you.
didn't realize she's new to commenting in here, so she didn't
Oh,
realize about the commenting. So hopefully you're not too upset with this, Carla. She says, thank you for teaching the youngsters what we need to learn. So just, you didn't know what you didn't know. No, nobody's upset with you, Carla. Not at all.
nobody's upset with you. We want you to come back.
No. We do. So if anybody knows Carla and if she has already left the room, let her know she's welcome. We just, for those that don't know and those that are new, we keep the chats to the end just so that we can listen to the stories and the guests or the lessons. And then we catch up at the end. JR says, knock, knock, anybody home?
Oh, that's up here.
Yeah.
No, we're at about all aboard prayers, Banquito.
We're just trying to catch up on these while we give a little bit more time.
Everybody's saying hello. Everybody's saying hello. We're going to catch up in just a second.
War Chief was just doing what we asked him to do. We asked him to remind people. He's just a very blunt person.
Scott Person Turquoise Waving by Cobalt. And that's where we had the prayers. And Lorna says hello. Shade Viking. Scott saying hello to Shade. Shade saying much respect. Mary saying, hey. And I think that's where we ended up.
Okay.
On the top one. Aussie Sue saying hello to Shade. Shade says he's on time. Okay, time to listen. Salute all. All right, Shade. Junior Warrior. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
And this is our monitor. Our head man,
War Chief Tracker C.
Free the people. Hey, free the people.
Says, hello, I'm late. Blanquito is here.
Mary saying hello to everybody. Dana Lee Smith.
Danny Lee Smith says, hi, Ian Jerry. Hi, Danny.
How you doing, Danny? Good to hear from you.
There's Carla. Says, hello, everybody.
All right. Okay.
Cricket's in the room.
There's Cricket. All right.
Blanquito says the Bigfoot can marry humans for so many disappearances in the mountains, USA. And by marry, you mean have physical relations in a sexual way with the people. Yes, they do rape the humans.
Mm-hmm. There's
Jazzy. Jazzy says Clyde from AIM gave my mom 2 AIM flags.
Okay, there you go.
That's cool.
Wow, Julian Williams.
Glad to see you here, Julian.
Hey, thank you, Julian. We really can appreciate that.
We sure do. Thank you.
And we use that for gas and everything that we need. Thank you,
We got
Julian.
2 assignments coming up, so we sure appreciate that.
Or 3 or 4.
Yeah, 2 immediate, and then we'll work in the others. Julian says, keep it up. Lorna says, thank you, Lorna, very much.
Oh, thank you, Lorna. Wow.
Let's see.
Wow.
And then we read Carla's already. And Carla, if you're still in there, go ahead and put a comment in. Just let us know you're not upset with us.
Yeah.
Because we're sure not upset with you.
We're not upset with you.
Cricket, thank you, Cricket.
Cricket. Oh, wow. Thank you, Cricket. Wow.
We appreciate you guys.
All right.
And Judy's in the room.
Judy. All right, Judy. I'm glad you're here.
Scott's Life says, Carla, I hope you're okay. This is just the way we do things in this channel.
Yes. Carla, don't take don't take anything wrong.
Personal, not at all.
Yeah.
Scott says, Jerry, thank you for sharing this very important story. And yeah, this is history that we need to know. And there was gold, some of the things that you were teaching in there that may come up for some of us in the future. Southpaw says, wow, I had no idea that was what had happened. I'm so very sorry.
Yeah.
And Judy says, good evening, everyone.
All right.
And we're caught up on the chats and still hoping to hear from
Carr,
who may not have the signal to get in, but he was planning on being here. And nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
But maybe we can have him as a special guest on it because we're already at 2.5
We can have
hours.
him as a special guest on like a recap.
So we can continue.
He's got some. Okay, so
are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, questions or comments about.
And that'll give him a little bit more time.
But even if not, we've had a great time letting everyone know.
But if you have any questions or comments, now's the time to put them in there.
Yeah, because there's a new tribal government there now, and some of them I still don't trust there. I know some of the ones that are on the council were part of that, taking the money too. Not all of them, but part of them.
Lorna says, a great honor, Jerry Williams, for what you did for your people. Amen.
Thank you, Lorna. Thank you.
That's sure not the side that we heard from the other side of the news, from mainstream news. We didn't get any of that at that time.
But now if you hear of any other stories or things like that has to do with the ending of the Standing Rock, which should pertain to what we just talked about, the only way you get the truth. But if it's not, it would be fiction. It would be somebody just putting some things together. Unless they hear this broadcast, then they can make an accurate ending of Standing Rock. But we didn't go nowhere. We were manhandled out of there, like everyone should have been.
And I was disappointed to hear that that some of the tribal leaders sold out. It's just no better than regular American politics or politics anywhere across the world. Like the leaders continuously selling out their people.
I would say it's even
and greed over taking care of what God gave us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to wrap it up if there's no questions or comments.
But we had a great night retelling this story. Would have been something for you to hear from the other people, but maybe we can get them on later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there was actually 2 guests.
Yeah.
One we didn't get a hold of in time, and the other is just not able to get through. War Chief says, Jerry, our leader will make an even greater leader and chief of the Choctaw Nation. He really would.
And I'll be running pretty soon as we can, whenever that next election time comes up, I'll be running for chief also. Thank you, War Chief.
Okay, we will go ahead and say a prayer and let everybody get back to what they're doing. And
thank you for being here and listening to this story. It's a one of a kind because no one else has this one. Unless you were there to understand.
And all those photos.
And all those photos. No one has those photos either. No one's ever seen those, or most of them. But we want to appreciate everyone for being here with us to listen to Standing Rock, the last days of what really happened. And we appreciate all of y'all for, just being here and being our friends.
We sure do. Thank you. Lord, thank you for this night. Thank you for thank you for taking care of them. Thank you for taking care of the people that went there to do that. And there were actually some terrible pictures that we didn't show of the damage that was done to the bodies of, one person got their arm blown off, Lord, and we pray that they turned out okay, that they recovered. How do you recover from such a thing, Lord? But thank you for those people, and give extra blessings on those people for what they went through, just trying to take care of the water for people that they never even knew. Thank you for their bravery. And we just love you, Lord, and we love the earth that you gave us. We love the fresh water that you gave us. We love the plants that you gave us, and you asked us to be stewards over those things, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And we're supposed to be taking care of each other, and just everything that you've given us. And we're sorry for the times that we've not paid enough attention, or that we've played any part or looked the other way. If anyone did know what was going on, forgive us for those things, Lord. And we pray that you reach the heart of the people that did do evil things during those times, and that you will cause them to repent and turn and seek the light too, and that those things won't happen anymore, and that there will be healing. And we know ultimately that evil loses and that good wins, and we thank you for that. We bless everybody that was here tonight, and we pray your protection over all of them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And there was there was even some friends who are not here with us today, who was at Standing Rock, and we're gonna close with that song again.
And tell D Worm hi real quick. Hey, D Worm.
Hey, D Worm. Glad you're here. So we're going to
Southpaw says, much love and respect, Jerry and Ella. Thank you for standing for what is right. And all of you too. We've noticed that the people that tend to gravitate to this channel, you're all people that stand for what's right as well. And that you're drawn to things that God loves, and we appreciate that. We do too. Well, hopefully the news will get to her. War Chief, she just said she wouldn't comment anymore, so maybe she'll still watch, and then she'll understand. Yeah. You were just trying to do your job.
And thank you for doing your job.
You work real hard for us, and we appreciate that.
We sure do.
We put you on the spot for that. Yeah. Thank you, War Chief. D Worm says, hi guys. Loved it, you guys. Amazing, inspired. Thank you, D Worm. Good to hear from you. And anybody else out there that's just creeping and listening, we're glad you're here too.
We're glad you're here.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay, we're gonna end with this song and a couple of photos again, and then we'll close out right after that. So enjoy the music before we close out, and we will see y'all again. If you're in the tracking course class or the tracker training course, if you're a candidate, tomorrow 6:30 p.m. Central Time Zone, check your emails.
And also we have a couple of assignments that we've got coming up, several things, so we may not be putting out a lot of content right for the next week or so. Don't worry about us, but do pray for us.
Yeah, don't worry about us. Don't worry about us, just pray for us. We'll make it. We'll always be back. So everyone have a good night. And,
I said, Lord willing.
Lord willing. Everybody enjoy your night, and we will see y'all again very soon. Class tomorrow. Let's see everybody in there. Check your emails. Get registered. We'll see you then.
Somebody go find Carla. Tell her it's all good.
It's all good. Everything's good.
They call it a pipeline, but those on the front lines know that black snake was sent for us to grow, to shed the skin our ancestors pray, of wounds old and calloused, so that we may stay, so that we may unite, unity our tool. No weapons are found in this court of rule. Men becoming ki'ais, steadfast in their guard, protecting women's hearts as their song become roots to cast out healing for all sentient beings, to honor sacred mother, heart forward we heal. The salmon will run, the mountain will breathe, the rivers will flow. The rainbow is here, and prophecy tells us all generations will hear.
Stand up with the First Nations and our people that been living here for thousands of years. Stand up. We've been fighting for our freedom since the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria. Stand up. Like Geronimo, Sitting Bull, Red Cloud, Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier. Stand up. Now they poisoning the waters for our sons and our daughters, so we on the frontier. We won. One nation, one cause, one people, one tribe. Now it's us against the pipeline. Get on your feet for Standing Rock, and we'll show you how strong we could be when we unify.
To all my native people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my tribal people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my native people, to all the original people, to all my indigenous people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand
From the
up.
beginning, we was winning this game on planet Earth. It's been spinning. We've been living and dying, but giving birth, the first of many nations. Celebrating them days when all that got made came after what God made. These days, we cater to these internet memes, internet streams. It seems them streams aren't clean. We need the whole story seen. We're hassling before water has gasoline in it. Malcolm X moment. Martin Luther King with a dream and war bone. Wounded knee plus Alcatraz dogged on it. This is for the rock. With prayers we stand on it.
Oh yeah, we playing on it, the earth, we camp on it. In a sweat lodge, singing our songs with grandfathers. Heat rocks all in the spot, we splash on them with a beatbox from my boy, we jam on it. Said a prayer for the black snake killers. Train on the front lines, they you're the realest. Stand for your people, stand for your family. Stand with Standing Rock, stand for humanity. Hey.
It takes a group of people who actually care about, Mother Earth and life and water being sacred and the land being sacred to say, we stand up.
To all my native people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my tribal people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my native people, to all the original people, to all my indigenous people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand it up, stand it up.
Mini Wachoni. Water is life.
Mini Wachoni.
Water is life.
Water is life. Water is life.
Water is life.
I stand. I stand.
I stand with Standing Rock.
I stand with Standing Rock. I stand with Standing Rock. Stand up. Stand up.
Stand up. Stand up.
I stand with Standing Rock. Stand up.
To all my native people,
Woke up and sang, we won't go quiet.
to all my tribal people,
Don't mistake our peace as we stand and fight.
to all my native people,
It's the calm before the storm, and I can hear it coming.
to all my tribal people.
I'm ready for the battle when we ain't running.
Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, 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 stand up.
Standing rock with standing feet as history is on a sad repeat. Is it liberty or we just acting free as our land depletes from these hands of greed? See, fate is found how we face the hounds. Take a vow for these sacred grounds. Make a sound that'll shake them out. Say aloud what can save us now.
Stand up,